Hello everyone, a very good afternoon. We shall be starting in next 2 to 3 minutes. Just waiting for a few more people to join in. Thank you everyone.
Sure.
Hello all, a very good afternoon. Before I start, am I audible?
Yes, Ekta, you are.
Thank you so much. So hello all, a very good afternoon. Myself Ekta Dubey, and on behalf of the Brinalytics team and our partner Compass by Zozode, we welcome you all on our roundtable, which is scaling startups with automation. So before we start the roundtable, there are a few guidelines that I would like to highlight and make you people aware of, requesting all the attendees to be on mute when the speakers are taking the session. We would be encouraging the Q&A after each session, like after the roundtable, where we'll invite the questions from the audience. The few guidelines are you need to raise your hands, unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and put your question to our concerned speakers. So before I start, I'm happy to introduce our partner, Compass. Compass is a software that gamifies your incentive programs. Integrate your CRM, pick one of your interactive game templates, and publish it in less than 10 minutes. No more spreadsheets. With easy to publish game templates, leaderboards, and analytics, Compass empowers your sales manager with a game-changing element, rewards, recognitions, and a complete access to relevant information. Compass motivates you on the ground sales force to do more. The end result is a highly energized organization with accelerated performance and sustained growth. Today, we have an interesting discussion which talks about how automation will give startups an edge in 2022 and beyond. And to welcome all our speakers today, we have an interesting set of thought leaders with a wonderful moderator on board who will be taking care of the entire panelist and making this interesting discussion overall interesting. So we have, I'm happy to introduce Akanksha Bajaj, Business Development Head with OYO. We have Kiruba Devi, Head Category and Sourcing with Zivame. Ms. Soumya Chopra, Head Customer Experience with OLX Group. Ms. Nidhi Agarwal, Director Customer Experience with Zupi. Mr. Divyam Goyal, Founder and CEO with Attain.U. Hitrat Saini, Head of Marketing with Frio. Osama Zafri, Sales Leader with Spinny. Ajay Shinoy, Chief Business Officer by Compass by Zozide. And we have a moderator, Rucha Vere, Manager Marketing with Compass. So now I would like to invite Rucha to take over the session. And thank you all the wonderful set of thought leaders today for taking out your time. And we look forward to interesting discussions from every one of you. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Ekta. Thank you for the wonderful introduction and thank you for organizing this event, first of all. And a very, very warm welcome to all our panelists and the audience here. So to start with today, we speak about scaling up startups with automation. So to start with that, I would like all our panelists in no particular order to go ahead with their introductions. Give us a brief introduction about yourself. Probably tell us a few things about what you're things that you're really passionate about or what excites you. So would be happy to know. Can we go with you, Soumya?
Ruja, thank you so much for you and Ekta for having us here today. And I lead the customer experience for the OLX Group for the consumer transaction business. I've been into this space for, I think, almost 4 years now. And I think automations are the key to have a better experience for be it irrespective of the brand or the industry that we operate in today. Because way the consumers are growing and the growth targets all of us have today or tomorrow, I think it cannot happen without the automations that we have in startup. And anyway, startup has been booming in last 2 years to an extent that none of us expected that we are sitting today. So I look forward to more than sharing my thoughts to learn something new myself is what I look forward to today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can we go with you, Akanksha?
Yeah, sure. Hi, this is Akanksha Bajaj. Basically, I currently look after process excellence and business strategy in OYO Vacation Homes, the Europe channel. Before that, I have been with OYO itself. I would say that my career journey has started with OYO as a BDM, and then I was a BD head for Madhya Pradesh, and then a year and a half I've been part of process excellence and business strategy in OYO Vacation Homes. I would say that the current topic that at least I will be taking, I should be able to add good value over there because I've been through that particular journey, and yeah, it's good to have such great speakers over here. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we go with you, Divyam, next?
Sure. Thank you for having us over here and looking forward to the discussion. So my background, I'm a software engineer by education. Uh, for the first 7 years of my career, worked in software engineering across India and Bay Area. So I have some tech perspective on automation as well. And for the last 3 years, I've been doing my own startup in the tech space. So I should be able to bring to surface the, at least in my thought process, what are the right points to start involving automation in different formats as the startup grows and scales.
Yes, thank you. Can we go with you, Kiruba, next?
Yeah, hi, good evening all. I think I love this panel members because we're all from a very different field, and I'm sure that we will bring in our each perspective to the to the team here. I'm Kiruba. I head the category and sourcing in Zivame, and I'm with the company from 2015. I have overall about 18-19 years of experience in the entire buying and sourcing and category management field. Basically a textile engineer, did my MBA, and I have my doctorate in consumer studies. All this was done to really see how it can help me in bringing the best product to the consumers. So my passion is always a product to the consumer is my main motto of all of this. And yes, as Samya rightly mentioned, I think automation is the key right now, and I've been with most of the startup organization doing from the spreadsheets and really making it a tool and making it successful. And automation is really important when the problem gets more complex, right? If I'm like only team of 2 or 3, it's very easy to handle, but when we become really big and when the problem become too complex, automation is the key. And I think it can start with the very small modules to the large scale modules, and I think we will discuss more in the upcoming sessions. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Kiruba. Over to you, Hitarth.
Thanks, Rucha. Glad to be here amongst all the eminent speakers. Would love to hear maybe some converging points as well from folks from different industries. I'm Hitarth. I'm from Frio. Frio is a consumer-led neobank, and we've been in the market for last 6 years. We provide multiple products across financial space. Maybe a heads up, I am very much pro automation. So I can maybe, and I have realized this over my career over the last 6 years, how it has helped us scale our journey from 0 to 1 and then 1 to maybe 1 million customers today. So automation has played a very, very significant role, and we pride ourselves to being a very lean team. And I think after a certain point of time, startups, if they want to be lean and don't throw manpower at or maybe human power at the problem, automation becomes a critical piece to make that journey to the next level. So maybe I'm just letting my stance know right away to the panel, but would love to hear some converging points as well.
Thank you, Hitarth. Over to you, Nidhi.
Hi, everyone. I thank you for having me here, Ruchi. I am Nidhi. I am currently the Director of Customer Experience with Zoopy. Zoopy is into real money gaming. So all our customers, they come on our app and play real money games like Ludo, Snakes and Ladders, Carom. And I've been into the real money gaming space since the past 7 years. Apart from that, I have 19 years of experience working in different industries like finance, stockbroking, recruitment, B2B e-commerce. And the topic for today, automation, yes, it's very important. I feel like in simpler words, if I say automation is, something that makes our life easy, and whatever can reduce the manual work, which basically makes our data points easy to understand. So I am looking forward to have an interesting conversation with all of you and see what I can learn from all of you today.
Thank you, Nidhi. Over to you, Osama.
Thank you. So my name is Osama Jafri. I work with Spinny right now, and I head after the Mumbai and the Hyderabad region for the Max segment car. And previously, I was associated with an edtech company. I used to be associated with Planet Spark. I started off with a senior manager there, and then I was looking after the Oman region completely. And before that, I have got 5 years of experience with American Express. And my passion is team building. I mean, more than anything else, I love building team. I love creating team. I love bringing people to work with me for a vision that I strongly believe in. That's something that I believe in. I am pro automation myself, like some of these team panelists did mention that. So looking forward for a very, enlightening discussion, lots of learning and sharing of ideas.
Thank you, Osama. Over to you, Ajay.
Thanks a lot, Rucha. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Ajay. I head up the business for Compass AI, which is a product from Zozoday. We're a sales incentive automation software. A little bit about myself. Over 2 decades of sales experience. I love attending panels like this, especially where everybody's pro automation and makes my life easier. At one shot, I get 7 prospects on the same screen who have no choice but to listen to everything I say, and hopefully something stays behind. Conversion ratios are going to be big after this one, but looking forward to an interesting discussion with all of you. Some of the things that come out in panels like this are hypotheses that we usually have. We're blindsided by our own product, but then when panelists from cross industry come in and actually bring in their thoughts, it makes our product better, makes us stronger. Either it proves a hypothesis or we then let go of what we're doing wrong. So looking forward to this conversation.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. So to set the context, I would really like you all to, pitch in all your experiences, insights, and any anecdotes that you might want to share. Please feel free. Please keep it a very free-flowing conversation. And I would like to speak the least in this panel, and that's when the audience will enjoy the most, I know. So to start with, I'll start with Kiruba. So Kiruba, for someone who has worked with brands across e-commerce and who has worked with so many startups, specifically in e-commerce, what is your take on what is one powerful automation that you think has transformed the way e-commerce is today, and how crucial was it?
Yeah, I think e-commerce itself was evolving, right? Right now, we still can't say that we have completely evolved compared to what the other countries are, and our consumer behave very differently to anybody else from any other country, right? So we're still evolving, and I am sure we have not even we have not even touched the surface of being in completely automation, right? So a brand like Zivame, which is an online lingerie brand, we are #1 today. When we started, there was no history, there was no consumer behavior that we know how she would shop, because it was like really a new stuff that we were venturing into, and it was like walking into a dark forest. And surely, a very important thing that we have done is the fit in this segment, because fit is important. So while we had a motto of providing a personalized shopping to a woman, getting into the business saying, hey, I'm going to sell things online, but where it is completely a fit is an important thing, right? So we started with okay, we will have fit specialist counseling our customers and going on and go on with her shopping. At first few couple of months, we felt it was fine. Each consultant was very different, and they had a very different experience. And then we realized that's not the way the brand should move forward. We should give a very constant consumer experience. That is when we said, while we had a template of how to greet, how to approach the fit sessions, but we thought that the automation is very important there. That is when we had a proprietary product called Fit Code, which is like we have really limited the human intervention there. It was completely an algorithm that we have done after reviewing all the profiles of the consumer we had in the past, and then we have given a set of questionnaires, and the consumer have to answer the question, and she would get an uniform experience by end of the session. That is what is a important thing that we have done in terms of an automation. There we have evolved. We initially told consumer to do the measurement tape and other stuff. Again, we are actually expecting a consumer to do the measurement and tell us how it is going to be, and there was a human intervention of the consumer herself. But we felt that there were so many things, and we said no measurement tape, come on, just answer the simple questions and you will really get your answers. That is how the basic understanding of the consumers and tabulating it and putting it as an algorithm figuring out is the important thing, right? So that is one such thing in an apparel business that we were into. And a very simple automation, like we are an omni-channel. We have 110 stores today, and we do sell through trade channels, which involves a lot of sales team, and we sell through marketplaces, right? And we have a lot of team involved. When we were small, as I mentioned, it was very easy to do through a spreadsheet, manage things, even in expense management for that matter. We were forced to go into an automation because it was too time consuming and we had too many people. We were not able to gauge what is the travel that they have done and what is the limit that they are eligible for. So we went on a simple automation that if you just enter your bills and if you enter your grade and if you enter your city, it tells you what is your qualification, what is that you're qualified to stay in the room. So all this automation really helps e-commerce to grow really faster, right? So we can really put in our thoughts towards business rather than putting a lot of efforts on process. So initial time we spent a lot on processes, and then we really moved on looking at the business in a larger scale. So that's about what I should say today is like the automation really speeds up the process. You really get to the goal faster. Rather than focusing more on the processes again and again. That is what automation brings to the table every time. Yeah.
I think Akansha just made a mental note saying that I have to check back with you to ensure that Oyo is listed on your travel expense platform at the moment.
All right.
Thank you. Okay. So my next question is to you, Hitar. For someone who heads marketing, how crucial is marketing automation for you, considering it has now come to the fore? And marketing automation, actually, the data that the marketing team collects acts as a single source of truth, also for the sales team when it goes on to them for conversions and for leads, and any point of data that the marketing team has. Is also very crucial for the sales team. So what is your take on automation in marketing, and what is one tool that you think has probably transformed marketing?
Sure. So I might not be able to give a lot of insights around sales, because that's at our place we are pro and we are completely digital. So it's kind of like a digital sales come marketing team. However, things that changed for us in our journey from 0 to 1 to million. It's just that from day one, we had a complete control of and visibility on all our funnel and the metrics, all the drop-offs that are happening while the consumers are going through the whole journeys. And especially for banking journeys are way complicated than e-com journeys, or maybe travel journeys, or maybe a lot of other places, purely because of compliances, purely because of multiple steps that the customers need to undertake before they can realize using a certain product. So for us, it was a very complicated problem. And we were sure from day one that we wanted to have a automation software which can help us communicate better, which can help us keep a track of our analytics better. I'll maybe name the software later on. However, how it helped us actually move the needle. We have set up almost 200 plus customized journeys inside our app, wherein a user, if they drop off from one app screen to another app screen, or the movement has not happened for a few seconds, and you can predict that the user is about to exit, or having some kind of a dilemma that, okay, maybe I don't have enough information to take the call to jump to the next decision point. At that moment, the automation kicks in. And instantly an SMS is triggered, or a WhatsApp is triggered, or an email is triggered, or a push notification is triggered to the user to make that journey a little bit easier. So this is a positive case. However, imagine if a lot of people are dropping off at various stages, and every stage requires a different kind of solution. Maybe for people in the top of the funnel, you need to maybe make them aware, get a little bit more trust from them, maybe like show that, okay, there are more consumer points who have solved their problem using our product. You need a different approach there. Maybe some consumers are there who don't understand, are not really that savvy in English, or maybe the whole power for a marketer, that how you want to talk to women as well as versus how you want to talk to your men consumers. There is a difference, right? So this is obviously, you can do a carpet bombing and apply the same communication to both. However, as a best practice, it's always good if you are personalizing the experience for the user. So how do you do all of this at scale for millions of customers? And that also 24/7. It's in today's world, I believe it is humanly impossible to do that at scale. Maybe at a small level you can do that. And that's where automation kicks in. Automation will help you set up journeys, set up rules, set up trigger points, that the moment, let's say, any metric is going down by 5%, automatically the tech teams and the data teams, they get a trigger email saying, boss, something is going wrong, something is maybe, just have a look, right? There are some critical red flags that, okay, anything has happened, suddenly there is a crisis team that, okay, if this metric goes below this level, an email is sent to the crisis team and they immediately jump into and start looking into the data part, that what is happening, right? So these are all the applications of I would say marketing automation that just helps us do our job a little bit better. And obviously some obvious benefits of automation is that you save time. You don't have to throw human power to the problem as you scale. Also, obviously all of this is being run by people, but when that happens, there are chances that errors might happen. Now, if errors might happen, automation just helps you control that guardrail it into maybe minimize your errors to a certain level. So there are a lot of benefits over there, but again, would love to hear more from other panelists as well.
Correct. Thank you so much. So my next question is for Soumya.
Before we jump to the next question, I just had a quick follow-up with Hitat. While you're a great propounder of automation, a lot of your insights seem to be more post facto than pre-deployment. So, I mean, you've understood the value, you've seen the value of automation, which you have deployed. If you have to go back a little bit in history, when you were at that cusp of deciding whether to go down a route of automation or not, what were the key parameters that you actually thought about? I mean, cost is a big one. Everybody in a startup phase, even Kiruba was talking about when Zivame went down on the automation route. Yes, do you feel the pain first, or do you believe that it's better to forecast the pain that's going to come your way and then develop your systems in such a way that you deploy automation piecemeal maybe, but at the same time with the focus that long-term automation is here to stay? Because a lot of founders come back to me and say, I work on Excel sheet works for me, life is good, everybody's on Google Sheets at best, but how does that play out, especially at your inception point?
Sure, Ajay. A very good question, and honestly it takes me back to 6 years back when we decided whether we should, what kind of software do we want to consider for automation. At a starting point, obviously for startups who are running lean on budgets, who are trying to figure out whether this is the right solution at this moment, cost is one of the major factors. On that point, I would say that maybe it's not a one size fits all solution. There are multiple players in the automation market who will be able to solve for different pieces of your automation. So at a certain point of time, when we were running campaigns specific for referrals, we were running with one partner. When we were running campaigns specific only for sending emails, we were running with another partner. When we were trying to work only for automating, let's say, journeys, we were partnering with another partner. Over the time, what has happened is, I think the whole ecosystem has also evolved, that multiple big players are able to attach some of the third parties to their services. So even if you're working with a different vendor on email or on SMS, you are able to connect them to your automation software, which can maybe come later on in the stage. It doesn't need to be on day one. However, the point that I wanted to say is that it's always good to preempt that this is a complex problem to solve. Yes, today it's not a pain. 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, the moment you hit a success point, it will break. You will not be able to scale it manually. And that DNA needs to be cultivated from day one. As marketers, as founders, as entrepreneurs, I think this is something that is our job to think from day one. It's okay. Situations might be different and you might decide to implement it later point in the future. But the thought process has to be from day one while setting up your marketing stack.
So if I have to distill it, basically believe in your own vision. If you're going to be big someday, as well start investing today.
Correct. And if you believe in your vision, you will get the automation software maybe day one, because you know that, okay, I am going to hit this mark 6 months down the line. Again, that being said, practically situations might be different, but I think the thought process needs to be there from day one.
Thanks.
If I can barge in over here in between, I slightly differ and slightly agree. The thought process needs to be there, but when you're doing a company, there are 10,000 things breaking at any point in time, right? And you don't really, yes, you have a larger, broader vision and everything, but you don't really know the minutes of it, right? So you're trying out something, you're building something, you're getting things together, you're figuring out the processes as you're scaling it out. Then, at least in my case, a point comes in each of these things when you figure out that it's no longer efficient to run the thing the way it is running right now. And it's almost always a resource, I won't say cost benefit analysis, I call it a resource benefit analysis. Because the time also is a resource, and then the cost you're paying for the product, right? So beyond a particular point, the resource benefit analysis makes you adopt that particular automation in that particular thing. But my journey has been that where we have always felt the pain first, right? And then we have been forced to adopt automation. Yes, we had always known that there would be a point when we need to automate everything, but we have kind of first developed a deep sense of what is required, right? What the correct processes are, try to push it manually as far as possible. And when the resource benefit analysis does not make sense to continue doing that thing in a particular manual way, then adopted some tool which suits our purpose best. And again, some tool which can help us for the next 1 year or 2 years, not the next 10 years, because we don't know how things would be after 2 years.
Fair. I think I kind of, I think what you said resonates with almost 99% of business owners today. They want to feel that pain. Unfortunately, where I always find a dichotomy is the fact that every business owner aspires at some point of time that they will be a lean machine. They will have lean processes. They will have automation that will help in it. And in fact, in most of my interactions with customers, you take EdTech, you take all new age companies, all startups. Typically, they come in when we pitch to them or when I'm talking to them, they'll say, hey, listen, we have a small team today. I don't think your software is going to be really, give us any kind of benefit at the current time. I think what I always leave them with a thought is that, fair enough, fix your processes, start building it, share them with us. We may not sign, we can sign a basic NDA with you so that information is compartmentalized, but partner with us in that journey so that the moment you start feeling the pain, we are not caught at day zero with regard to deployment. At least we are prepared, because n number of times EdTech there's been a boom in the last year. When we spoke to them first, they said, no, we have 100, 150 people, we're manageable. Cut to 4 months ago, I have sales managers calling me up and saying, I am recruiting 500 people within this quarter, and I need your system to be deployed yesterday. Now we're starting at scratch from there, and it takes time to actually build that logic in and make it conducive. And you're recruiting people, yes, you're recruiting people by the truckload. But at no given point of time is your sales operations team actually working alongside you to start building the modality of keeping those people on board, because it's almost like one KPI at a time. I guess it's one of those blinders that we salespeople have. Ki target mil gaya to wahi target karna. We will not look elsewhere. So I think one of the things that to take out of both of you just said was that if there is an intent at some point of time to get into automation, I think it'll be really great if, as those processes evolve, you start partnering with people who want to share their journey with you. And I think that will also separate the wheat from the chaff, wherein you'll know who are the guys who are your long-term partners, who are going to develop products which are more conducive to you. Because, I mean, yes, you could be unique in your space, but in your sector, there will be some replicability for a SaaS product like something that I sell. I think that's something which would be a good thing to start evolving as an environment. Share what the pain could be and see if people actually gravitate to you to understand your problem without a commercial consideration. I mean, everybody's in the business of building today. So might as well build together. I think that's a good way to go about it.
Ajay, I think it's always a bandwidth trade-off.
Right?
In terms of time, where do you spend your time or your company's time at?
Yeah,
so that's always the trade-off. Are you solving for the problems now or for in future?
this bandwidth is the B word for me now. It's either bandwidth from customer side or it's sheer bandwidth that my data pipelines are choked at the moment. So both ways I get hammered.
Right. I would just like to add something here that, even I was, involved with an edtech company. I was recruiting heavily, during the first quarter. I had around 200 people that I wanted to recruit at one point of time. So my thing that, my understanding is that if, it's not good that we feel the pain and then come up with a solution, right? At any given point of time, future would be of companies, who are heavily invested, as far as automation goes. If I don't have my process right, if I don't have my software right, as a leader, I would not want my people to actually go to people for solution. I would want them to go to a software for a solution, right? Because that would be an everlasting solution, right? People may come, people may stay, people may be ineffective one day, they may be effective one day, but software would be a reality, automation would be a reality. So I think, every company, from its inception, basically the vision that they have that, what, I want to be a unicorn or I want to be this big or of that size. I think we cannot ignore automation. We cannot just ignore software now, especially in the time that we are living in.
You're absolutely right, Osama. But, what happens is that, I've been working in startups since the very start of my career. When it comes to startups, the kind of tight budgets that the company has, it becomes very difficult for us to not feel the pain before we propose a solution. And sometimes we really have to live with it for some time because we are being told that maybe the budgets are tight or, let's have more people working because the tool cost is going to be more. Like one of our panelists already told us that, the tool cost is more than the employee cost. So why not have more people do it? And it also, in the customer experience space, what happens is that if there is a personal touch in the interactions that we are having with our customers, that also helps us build a long-term relationship instead of, going through AIs or chatbots. I know that is the thing for the day. A lot of banks and a lot of apps have automated a lot of responses, but do we really feel, or when we interact with those chatbots, do we really feel, that I will say we don't get connected with that particular brand in that case. So yes, you are right, but then it totally depends on, how soon the automation can be done with the right kind of tools.
I shouldn't be saying this in this forum. I hate chatbots. I just can't get my message across to them. It's like, it's almost frustrating trying to tell that chatbot ki mera problem kya hai. It just gives you a list of options. Yeah, but I get where you're coming from. It's
to slightly add to what Nidhi was saying and to kind of slightly disagree with what Osama was saying. Yes, everyone has the vision to build a unicorn company, right? That is a given fact. No one does a company to keep it small, right? Everyone does a startup by definition is a fast-growing company. But at the same time, it will only get there when you're taking care of the present before the future, right? You need to survive now first before you can think about the future, right? And right now, at any given point, there are 10,000 burning issues, correct? So you need to prioritize key. Is there any one of these or multiple of these you need to solve for now to be able to get to the tomorrow where you can solve for tomorrow, right? So I think that is the reason why it said, feel the pain first before it starts happening, or you only hire in a slightly analogical sense, you only hire when you needed the person yesterday.
I'll give you a use case. So in one of my previous organizations, I had around 70 people calling for business retention and business acquisition. So one of the solutions that we proposed was, why not, install a CTI, a calling software. But then the issues were that people don't attend to calls which are coming from landline numbers, because if we have a CTI partner, the calls will go from a landline. Then the LAN installation. Also, if in case we really want to go through a SIM-based calling where the calls are going from a mobile number, then there are server setup, right? So the kind of expenses that come behind the setup is also there. It's not only the tool cost, but also the hardware cost sometimes that has to be taken into account. So when we talk about automation, it is not only about the tools we take, but it is how smartly we can manage it with the open source software or something that's freely available in the internet. So what we did is that the same mobile phones that these people were using for calling, we installed a call recording software, and we for the call recordings to be stored, we added a Google Drive link where all the calls were coming, right? And they could easily share their stats or whatever they called through the Google Forms they were filling in, right? So nobody wanted their productivity to be less, and they know that all their calls that they're making or that are coming to them are going to get stored in a Google Drive, so they really cannot fake it. So that's how we ran that customer care center or outbound calling center for some time, because we knew that tool installation cannot be done.
Who says, I mean, whoever says that Indians don't do jugaad is sorely mistaken. I mean, talk about the level of integration that you did on a simple mobile phone. But I would.
I think this is global, right? For startups, this is not India specific. Like early stage companies, initial stage companies, whether you talk about Y Combinator companies, this is true globally, right?
But globally, working on always have an Indian sitting behind making all these moves. For sure, he'll be a global company, but desi rahega piche, 100%. No, but I think that's also a form of automation. Automation doesn't mean you go splurge hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a network, buy systems. I think it is about how you smartly bring in tools, either free to use or pay as you go, bring them to bear. I think it reaches a point where you then start going down the path of integrating all of it together. I don't think anyone wants to make the same mistake that they made in the 90s and the early 2000s, wherein they, at small and medium businesses also, they started installing ERP software. I remember, somebody who was running a small water treatment firm. I mean, yes, their revenues were big. They were doing piping for large buildings. But the son went and did his IM, came back, and he says, Dad, I need to install an ERP system for ordering. Their entire business came to a standstill because, guys who've been working in their company for like 40 years doing pipes, they know the back of their hand exactly what their inventory in the warehouse is, what material is moving from which supplier. Suddenly they're stuck on this whole SAP system wherein they have to actually go and identify what is the SKU number and what is the customer code. So I think people complicate or rather mistake automation for complicating lives. I think automation is to actually simplify your life and more than take the pain away, make you forget that pain ever existed. It has to be as seamless as that. I think that's a big one for deployment at the end of the day.
So just would like to add, so, while I completely respect the point of Nidhi and Divya, so it happens with me also. So, the software that we use today for Spinny, and especially, since I look at, the Mumbai and Hyderabad region, one of the calling software that we use is Amio, right? There are times when, the customer, may not want to pick a landline call. Sometimes they WhatsApp them their personal number and they call them on their personal number. But I come from that theory that even if a customer is calling me from a personal number, I will request the customer that, we have a process in place. We want to give you a great customer experience, right? We would use our technology. We would call you only from our software so that we are able to record it. I may lose out on one or two customers here and there, right? But I think, if I have the technology used effectively, and, if I have that, that thing that, no matter what, I am going to be driven by technology, or I will have technology.
But it always has to be customer before technology, right? No?
No, I agree also.
Yeah, it has to be customer, but, the whole perspective, how do you enhance customer experience, right? Sometimes, by using technology, right, you tend to give better experience to the customer than just by human touch. And that's just a personal opinion.
You're absolutely right, Osama. So over there, like you said that you're using Amio, and yes, you're right, where I told that customers don't pick up phones from landline, then the knowledge transfer has to be there, that the knowledge transfer has to be automated. So we have to inform customers that going forward, we are going to use this number to call you and we request you to pick up our calls. or maybe use the new premium plans that Truecaller is offering, where your business name is, highlighted on the top and they cannot mark you spam over there. So before you go to automation, there is a KT for the customers as well. Even the customers have to get comfortable with the new technology they are using, or the company starts to use. How many of us really pick up, that is one reason why I become a little reluctant to use CTS. I know we have to use CTS office for the purpose of data security and call recording, but then I see myself not picking up landline calls at the same time, because most of them, numbers are marked spam by 120 people, 500 people. So we will have to evolve using that technology with giving the right set of learning to the customers as well.
And Spinny has it down pat, right, with regard to their automation. When all else fails, bring in Tendulkar as your brand ambassador and people will automatically come to you. So that's also a form of automation now.
Nidhi, I have a question here for you. So for someone who leads a team where most of the time people who work under you are almost always on calls that are, where people are almost always complaining and the motivation is really, really low. So what do you think? What is your take on how do you motivate people who are really, really bogged down by these consistent calls?
See, right now, what I would only say is that we have weekly connects with the team where, we basically laugh about some of the customers. I'm sorry to share this on this forum, but we are into real money gaming, and every second customer is blaming the company for, for them losing their money and they being depressed, under stress and all that. So sometimes it does come on us when, these customers from somewhere find our Facebook accounts, Instagram accounts, they, start messaging us over there that, I've lost my money because of you and all that. So we just have weekly connects. We try to have a little laugh on those cases, and at the same time sensitize our team members that they're coming from some point. So that customer, he's invested some money due to which we are being able to pay your salaries, right? So in a way, that's true. See, if the customer is coming and playing games on our app, that's how we are earning. That's our revenue, right? So we sensitize.
You're the modern day Las Vegas.
Sorry?
You're the modern day Las Vegas, I said.
Yeah. So we try to sensitize them also on the customer's emotions part, because if I tend to lose that amount of money on any app, I might, also have the same, I will say the same complaints or the same emotions. So we sensitize the team, we, speak to them and say how, these customers are beneficial. And then 3 is like, just go with the flow. I know it's very stressful, but at the same time, that's our job to do. Like customer wo hota hai jo kasht se mar raha hota hai. So that's how we like laugh about it, and we still have everything going on.
Thank you. I would like to bring in Akanksha here. Akanksha, are you there?
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm audible.
So for someone who's worked in sales for so long, has practically started her journey with sales, and went on to become a manager of and managing people who actually sell on ground, who work on field. What has been your experience, and what are some of your learnings from being a business development manager yourself, and then going on to leading a team, and then for someone who's forming strategies now? And what is one tool that you think would have really helped you? Maybe, if I had this, I would have been a rock star. Although I know that you were a rock star all throughout your stint at Toyo, but still.
Thank you for that, first of all. Yeah, so basically I started this journey from the time where I used to make notes in my diary, and I used to I used to write up all the numbers of all the hotel owners, and then I used to prepare that data on my own, and then I used to check for what specific owners I've called on, and what are the ones which are specifically I have to call them again next week, and what timing are they giving, what is the schedule. And obviously with doing these sort of things, you tend to miss a lot of good contacts which could have been converted. So I coming from that particular timing in 2017, there were multiple I would say good level of challenges when initially we were doing all that. By the time, and gradually, since it's a startup and you face a lot of challenges even when you are experimenting with models itself, so you face a lot of challenges, and to explain that to a hotel owner and ask him to share his entire property and convince him to on all the terms and conditions that we are saying was pretty challenging. But I think building trust and ensuring same within my own team helped me a lot. But I totally get that thing that if I would have if there was a CRM system placed then and there, it would have helped me to save a lot of time, because automation in any way help us to create a lot of emails, also creating a schedule for us to follow up consistently. And then we are using these tools that are providing us profile enrichment features, and then all the data is fetched automatically. You can use those email templates again, and you can keep a track of all the sales activities using a sales report and things of that sort. So it in a way would have helped us. But I think with time, a lot of things were indebted. Even OYO involved a lot of things. With each year we growing into huge, we were growing huge every year from then on. So I think then we started with our own application and things of that sort. I believe when here I am trying here again, it's a new brand altogether, and they are at the lean stage, the stage that I think I was in OYO in 2019, starting and building all new processes and making it more streamlined. So I believe here again, starting from scratch, there are a lot of tech initiatives. I think when a homeowner here raises any issue, he doesn't know what is the status of that particular complaint, and he keeps sharing a lot of emails. And every now and then in Europe, email is treated as a point of source of contact, and it's proof for everyone. So when HO keep asking us that what happened to the ticket that I raised, let's say a month back, what happened then? So he is really clueless. So I believe a lot of tech changes where the homeowner is able to see the status of his ticket, that at least it's been pending at this particular team and they are working on it. Kind of basic things help a lot in actually converting and not leading to churn for those specific homeowners. If I talk about the team that I used to have, they also face a lot of issues during that time. But we also used to have everyday morning calls. We used to set our goals for the day, for the month, because we had very steep targets. And to keep them motivated was a bigger challenge, because we used to be we are just not striving for targets, we are striving for 200% over there, that we want to top we want to be at the top for entire India. And that was in a way a challenge. But I think just gaining trust and understanding their professional goals and helping them create a good pipeline and all of those things helped us. And I think just being more persistent and determined helped me. And moreover, with OYO being a tech-driven company and just focusing more on that, I think helped us, because now we have CRM systems. Now we are using Salesforce, multiple things that helps account managers, BDM managers managing their sales numbers, and every day they see their dashboard on a daily basis. And we also strive them, or we are after their life, that they should be more and more data-driven, because data is everything. So helping then basis that they are able to close leads even better, because they know that what better are they doing in comparison to their competitors.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Akanksha. I'm sure Ajay would also echo your thoughts for someone who's worked in sales for so long and who's directly working with sales heads and director of sales currently. What are some of your thoughts, Ajay, on the experience that Akanksha has got?
I'm surprised that Akanksha actually faced the same problems that I faced way back in 2001. Writing in your diary, finding out who your next contact is. At least I had the excuse at that time that CRM systems didn't exist as a possibility within the organizations that I worked in at that time. But yes, I completely echo what Akanksha just said. When I moved into a business development role in, say, Vodafone, we used to manage accounts which were global in nature. So there used to be one global account manager who would sit out of the home country of where that organization was headquartered. And then in every territory or every region geographically, there would be one national account manager who would actually, from a matrix, report into this global account manager. If we were going to depend on email leads being passed on or reports being sent, I think that entire system would have failed. I think the biggest thing that held us all together as a global network was not our telecom network, but more Salesforce.com, where you had instances which were replicated across every geo. People could enter their opportunities. Those were reflected automatically to people who it was pertinent to. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of pain to get hardcore sales guys to now start putting in opportunities. नहीं तो डायरी में लिखते थे कि हाँ ये तो हो जाएगा 1-2 महीने में, but here it was you had to put a closure date and stuff like that. I think a huge quantum leap for me personally has been from 2012, where I left Vodafone when I joined ZozoDay now in 2021. The reason I joined this organization was because it actually completed the loop for me. Yes, I've gone through the pain of not knowing what my achievements were. For that, we hired an MIS guy. So the MIS guy would put the MIS together every day and then show me my reports as I required them. Of course, like me, I had 5 other peers in the country who had their own MIS reporting. So when we all used to get together to compare notes, it was all over the place because I had my reports and they had their reports. So there was never a benchmarking available. But then cut across to Salesforce.com that came in, gave everybody a single version of the truth. We were all on the same platform. There was no hiding anything anymore. Either it was there on Salesforce or it didn't exist in the system at all. So even if you closed a deal which was not on Salesforce, it wouldn't get closed, despite the fact that you could waive a purchase order in everybody's face. They say it's not on Salesforce, it's not going to work. But what was again missing over there for me was the fact that Salesforce throws such a lot of data at you. If you're not careful about what you want to look at, what is pertinent to you, what is important for you, you can get lost in that myriad amount of data that can be thrown at you. When you're running multiple teams across multiple functions, because I headed up sales, I also had customer service running into me. If I had to then bridge the two, it took me more time to understand a report as opposed to glean information from it. So I had to first, find out what is where and then get it done. That's when it's about a year ago when I spoke to the founders of our company and I was just kind of exploring options as to what to do. And when they told me about Compass as a product, that really hit home for me as a sales guy. It really appealed to the sales side of me. Though we call ourselves a sales incentive software, automation, as well as gamification. I think all fancy terms. Basically, we are a really great calculation engine, brilliant calculation engine, which allows cross-sector replicability. So I can find relevance in banking and finance, financial institutions like NBFCs. I find relevance in FMCG and FMCD. I find relevance in automobile sector, pharma, name it. If there is a measurable KPI, and not just on sales, on customer service, anybody who is incentivized or is measured on a quantitative variable, this system can pick it up and then gives the sales operations or the operations teams the complete liberty to conceptualize and conceive new methodology to drive their teams. So no longer are you stuck with these innate problems of, if I need to bring this campaign to life, I need IT sign off because a change request has to be made in case you're a really heavy ERP stack. Or on the flip side, I have 4 people who are now working 15 days every month end just to get my previous numbers out. If I throw a new campaign at them, they're going to take another 15 days to develop that Excel sheet. That's the other problem that they have. So then bringing it down to actually slicing and dicing geographically, regionally, developing markets, developed markets. I was working with a bank recently and they have a one size fits all. It doesn't matter if a guy is selling in a metro city or he's selling in a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 city. Their rural RMs had steeper targets than their metro RMs. And it just didn't make any conceivable sense. I mean, where you're doing grassroots level banking on one side and you're doing wealth management on the other side, how can you just pit the two against each other? Because every tier 3 guy aspires to go to metro, and the metro guys are just not going to move because bethe bethe kha rahe. It doesn't make sense. But then when you talk to the operations guys, they're saying, what do? We have 80 branches, and then we have remote branches where people are out there, which we can't even reach them via email. They at best they have their mobile phones. How do I get my information across? By the time I tell them about the incentive scheme that is running for the month, it's already halfway through the month. That's where Compass and products like ours actually build huge benefits. I mean, I'm not going to pitch the product. You guys have my contact details. I'd love to have conversations with you. But let me assure you that this form of automation in the sales arena for me has been the next step in my journey. Like I said, I went from a diary to a CRM to a sales incentive automation. And I've seen the benefits because this ties in everything together and it kind of rounds off your entire journey. Because a sales guy worth his salt or her salt is doing it not for social service or altruistic purposes. Humko paisa kamana hai. We need our incentives. That is a greater portion of our income in life. If you drive a sales guy with his incentives, the guy is yours for life. Your attrition comes down, your motivation goes up. Paisa is power at the end of the day. So from a variable pay perspective, I find relevance in every industry. Absolutely no point.
Thanks, Ajay. And thank you to everyone. Let's just take some questions from the audience now. Do we have any questions? Bhavin, I think, has a question.
Hi, I really loved the conversation. I got to learn many things from this. I had a point to make. While many of us are arguing what level of automation is required, I think even the minutest of things, which is wasting manpower, requires automation. Right now, I'm struggling to just fix my phone somewhere in the car. That also requires some kind of tool which can be fixed. That is also part of automation. How can we reduce human effort? I learned a lot from Ajay when he said, start small. That is what Lean Startup says. When I started my retail branding part, we started with Excel. Now Excel is also an automation from the diary. Then this is the third CRM which we are implementing for retail branding, right from Reiki to photos, installation, all those things, really automated and really gives more power. We can do more productive things in the same. I wanted to know if some of you can suggest tools which really help you. One tool which has really changed your automation journey. That will be great.
So Bhavin, maybe I would like to just shed some light on that. I think, while you are looking for a single tool to solve multiple problems, I think that is the wrong approach. You should first figure out where do you want to implement automation, whether it is for your process automation, whether it is a communication that you want to automate, or whether it is tracking or data that you want to automate. And for each of these, I think there will be one of the tools will be doing one part of the job fantastically, but the other part maybe on an average or a medium level. And then you can take a call. For us, when we started, we took a call that, okay, marketing, because for finance, you need to be like very much over communicative because it's people's money involved. So for us, that was a priority. We also implemented automation on our data, and there's a very different tool that automates our data and our reports and our MIS systems, right? So the choice for figuring out the tool needs to come from the problem that you're trying to solve. If that's the case, then maybe there are different tools that solve for different purposes. Maybe one tool that has helped us a lot in our communication journey, that is MoEngage. You can maybe check it out. It's a communication and automation tool in the marketing space. Similarly, there would be more automation tools that will help you for your data point, that will help you for maybe for just getting rid of manual dependencies on tech team, for example, right? So obviously, if you have to automate something and there is a lead that is coming from one channel and you need that lead to flow to your data, to your calling team or sales team. And if there is a tech integration that is required, which is delaying the part, there is a separate tool called Zapier that quickly comes into picture. You have to pay for it, but it lets you bridge the gap for the time being. So you will find different tools at different points for your problems.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand what the problem is and what need you're trying to solve. As simple as way back in 2004, 2005, when we discovered something called macros on Excel sheets. That was the biggest automation we could think of at that time, because Excel itself was an expensive software to buy at that time or to have a license for. And then when you had guys who were experienced at macros and could actually automate those calculations, dude, they were kings. They were rock stars. They were the ones who the sales team every day, paid obedience to and then went into the field. But cut across to today, where you have tools off the shelf where you can just plug and play and all calculations get taken care of. Those poor guys, I still remember the guy's name. His name was Karthik. He was my right hand, left hand, and my brain. Yeah. As any sales manager, I required him for everything. But he was good at macros, and he was great at something called VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP, if somebody could do, he was Einstein. Today it's child's play. A 5th standard kid does VLOOKUP. I mean, but at that time we needed experience, guys. So I think every time as you grow older and technology becomes better, I think your needs become more enhanced and the solutions for it become simpler. And it just works that way.
Yeah, and just in order to add, what Hitarth and Ajay is saying, that it also really depends, it does depend on the problem that you are solving, and it also depends on the line of business as well, your LOB. So for example, at Spinny, the max segment, they run at a conversion of 1.5 to 2%, right? So my automation would be basically identifying my customer. So I would maybe have, 5-6 software running at a point of time, which would be able to identify the customer milestone for me. So for example, how many customers, went on the website and showed their intent. Then depending on what kind of intent they showed, I need, a software that will exactly tell me this was a premium customer, maybe into a luxurious car. This was not a premium customer, maybe into an assured version of car. Then, where is my customer exactly? Again, if I have my customer, who's going for inspection of car, but, cannot get their car inspected after a point of time or is not agreeing with the price, I need to have those software which will exactly tell me how many people am I losing, on what percentage am I losing, so that really depends on LOB. And it also really depends on identifying your customer at different milestones. I think that's where automation would help, and the right automation, basically.
Thank you for the question, Bhavin and Ajay, Osama, and Hitarth for the answers. Do we have any more questions?
I have one more. Once we have built an automation tool, we have spent a huge amount of money. So there's a curiosity, how do we monetize it? Should we use it only for ourselves? Should we open it for everyone in the industry? How do we take this? Because if I am not opening up, somebody else will. And if I am opening up, I am opening to my competition. I'm in the business of retail branding. So the Reiki installation, measurements, all are done online through an application. Now there are thousands of such vendors pan-India who would love to, not make PPTs, Excel, not do it manually, but with the software. How do we take at it?
I mean, I would love to maybe understand a little bit better. What do you mean by monetization of a tool that you have implemented?
So thousands of stores are there. Let's take an example of Zivame or Spinny. So the person physically goes to these stores, take measurements, puts in a paper, then brings back the photograph, creates a PPT. The client approves it on email. So the entire process is done on an application, which is ready for us. Should we make it open source by a SaaS model kind of a thing to other partners or to other competitors in the same industry?
See, Bhavin, in this case, what I understand is your proprietary information is basically collecting the difficult data from field force and assimilating them together in a nice manner and then trying to figure out some intelligence out of it, right? So yes, you can maybe, if there are no other players and this has worked for you, you can try and figure out how can you, let's say, automate one part of it and monetize that as, let's say, field operations, right? You are the ones, you are, let's say, an agency or a company who's helping assimilate, do the hard work on the ground, get that raw data in on a system, Maybe there can be another module which is accepting all of this data together, fishing out some of the good insights for businesses, and giving this out as from what I understand is it's not really a SaaS model. It's more of a service offering that you are giving and solving for other businesses.
Yeah, because from what I heard from there was you're actually allowing for measurement of certain, say, retail placements and things like that. I get a lot of these requirements when I'm talking to people like, say, Coca-Cola or Pepsi, where they want to see product placement on shelves. Are they getting adequate shelf space? Are there POP and merchandise being displayed in a certain fashion? You should talk to companies like ours, wherein you actually fit into our module so that the input comes in as data from you, saying that this is what each of these feet on street have actually achieved in their retail store outlets. That flows into my system as raw data, and we pick it up from there and we convert it into their incentive program, and then it gets pushed out again. So you get a share of revenue from every SaaS fee that I charge the customer. That's another model that you could.
Sure, let's talk.
Okay, so Rucha, we'll not take any more questions from the audience unless it is directed at Kiruba, because in all my panelists, hers is my favoritist company.
In fact, I had something for Bhavin. I was about to pitch in. See, Bhavin, I think we onboard a lot of sellers on our website on day-to-day basis, and we interact with them a lot, right? So one such seller, in fact, he had his own brand and he had his own sales force, and he was unable to channelize their sales force, which store to go first, how is the route of the salesperson to be done, which is a very critical thing that any brand, when you are into this kind of a trade model, you go, you need to tell the sales team saying that, hey, go to the first street here and go to the commercial street if that is the first thing, and then you go to KMI. I mean, like all of that, right? So he created a module for himself, and then what he did was he started using that as a sales pitch to the other brands. So he had his friend's business. He said, hey, I created this, why don't you start utilizing my entire intelligence? And he that has become his part, like the next entity for him as a sales channel business. I know people like Ajay and everybody are there to really bring this into the platform. But yeah, if you have some intelligence and if you have created a model that can be automated, surely, a set of people can utilize it, and then you can go to a larger modules and make that really a best thing. So that is something that
route optimization is the biggest thing in FMCG distribution today.
Absolutely.
How do you have the routes defined for everyone?
Yeah, and to really check what is a conversion is such a big challenge today. Really, do they get converted? You do not have visibility until a week report comes to you or the day end reports come to you. So that is where you see, you go here, have you really got the conversion? No, not got the conversion. What is about the next one?
Get Compass, it'll show you in real time exactly what the conversion rates are.
I know, that's what I said. I just mentioned because route is very important, and how really you convert and where do you really spend your energies on is very important. And there it highlights saying this is like your green customer. Just spend more time there, involve yourself more. That is all an insight which ways a salesperson will have, because he is much bigger than the automation that we are talking about, because all the inputs have come from him. But still, there is a data that goes back to the system saying, hey, he's been a green customer, so why don't you spend more time, try explaining them. He's been an orange consumer. Like, is a red consumer, you just say hi and then you see what you get convert and then move on. Those kind of real time information flows in is very important. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll not take any more questions. Do we have any? I think not, because no one has raised their hand yet. But it was. Yes?
No, this is Ekta. Continue, Rucha, please.
Yes. So it was beautiful having all of you here. And I'm I was very happy to have you here. And it was a really exciting one, with everyone bringing in their thoughts and views on automation, specifically in startups. And thank you everyone for joining us. Over to you, Ekta.
Okay. Thank you, Rucha, for wonderfully moderating the panel. And of course, on the closing note, we have extended the time 15 minutes because we had wonderful set of speakers. And of course, we had wonderful insights coming in from everyone. So just a thank you on behalf of Brinalytics and Compass, to all the thought leaders for taking your time, sharing your thoughts. And audiences, thank you for taking out your time today, Thursday evening, and staying with us for this 1 hour where we had interesting insights. We shall be sharing the video of the entire session. And also we would be reconnecting with you guys to have some interesting demos coming in from Compass. So, but stay tuned and thank you everyone and have a lovely evening ahead.
Thanks, Ekta. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye.